Flashback Friday, TGIF. Thank God it's Friday. I am beyond ready for the weekend. I have had a pretty busy week. I am getting ready to start school again. In I think 10 days. And so I've had to get all of that done. I had to get my financial aid in place and get registered for classes and order books, which are ridiculously stupid expensive and annoying for me to order because almost everybody orders their college books from MBS. It's the book mecca. Okay, which is fine, right? Except for the fact that the MBS warehouse where all of those books are shipped from is 3 streets from my house. You would think that if you were a local, you would have a drive-up window or a bookstore that you could go in and shop. No. I have to, like everybody else, order them, pay for shipping to have them shipped to my house. Which means that they get on a UPS truck, they go to the UPS hub that's up on the other side of town, get back on a UPS truck to drive back to my side of town to give me my book. Seriously? And I pay, mind you, $13 to have these stupid things shipped. Then not to mention, when I send them back for buyback, the UPS store that I take them to ship them back is across the street from MBS. WTF? Seriously? I mean, luckily enough, I don't usually have to pay to ship them back, but that's beside the point. I still had to waste my gas to go to the UPS store to drop it off. I could have just taken it to MBS. It's going there anyway. I don't understand. And then yesterday, I get all motivated to rearrange my living room, which I love. It turned out great. It's good mojo. I don't know. It feels better in there. It's open. It's not so crowded. I mean, I have a decent sized living room anyway, but I have big furniture. And so my little butt was moving couches and coffee table. It's all fun and games. You know, you get this big nice furniture. I have this huge black cabinet, right? That's got all my kids little memory stuff in it, stuff they made me for Mother's Day, little keepsake, whatever. It's just a big, huge ass black cabinet. That cabinet is all fun and games until I get motivated to rearrange my living room. And I move it by myself and it weighs 100 pounds. So that was quite comical, me sliding across the floor, pushing this entire cabinet alone, across the room 6 times, trying to find the right spot for it. But it's done, and now I'm all motivated to bring you GA Flashback Friday, where today we are going to Ohio State Reformatory. This episode is super intense. It's chock full of amazing evidence, and so we're going to get right into it because we have a lot to talk about. Okay. Now, as always, I like to give you a little bit of history. The Ohio State Reformatory is in Mansfield, Ohio, and it's 120 years old. It closed in the 1990s, and it was home to over 155,000 inmates in that time. Now, during walkthrough, we were introduced to one of the, I think, probably biggest characters in Ghost Adventures history. There's a lot of strange people that these guys meet when they're doing interviews and such, but DJ Fly is a whole new breed of cray-cray. He's just off. He is the epitome of someone who was an inmate, who was a convict, and is now living in the real world. He was an ex-con who was at Ohio State Reformatory and had a pretty, aside from seeing the typical prison stuff, had a pretty gnarly experience in that his next door cell mate, I guess, Lockhart, covered himself in paint thinner and lit himself on fire. And DJ Fly was in the cell next to him, and he had to keep himself wet with water to try to save himself because it was all coming through the bars and coming through the cell walls. And he seen the guards, once they actually got to him, they seen the guards basically drag him down the cell block, and chunks of his skin was falling off, and it was just nasty. It was a horrible, horrible death. And DJ Fly is scarred by that, and he has this weird attachment to that. And speaking of that, we've had the pleasure of having Ohio State Reformatory be on Aftershocks, which, if of you that don't know what Aftershocks is, Ghost Adventures Aftershocks is where the guys kind of catch up with past guests from the shows. from the past seasons, and they were actually going to interview DJ Fly, and he got really sick and had a stroke. And when his family and friends came in his place to talk to them, they kept saying that he was talking about Lockhart. And so it appears that he has this strange, kind of weird attachment to Ohio State Reformatory and to the inmates there, because maybe because he was an inmate there, he understands how it is there, he understands the lifestyle there, or maybe it's just part of kind of like the convict curse, I guess, of, you know, you can leave the pen, but the pen doesn't leave you. It's just, he was just a really interesting guy to pay attention to. When they would get to Lockhart's cell and he was telling the story, he walked in and you could kind of tell that he was contacting him or trying to talk to him, saying, you know, I didn't forgive you for that. And he just kind of started freaking out and twitching and acting really weird, like he could feel his spirit, and he was not okay with that. And he was really almost not okay with the guys being there. He, like, feared for their safety. And there's probably good reason for that, because going in to talk about lockdown, this lockdown, though, from start to finish, it was not silent. There was not one room that they did not get a piece of evidence. There was not one room where they did not experience something. Hell, it started before lockdown even started. Their first big piece of, like, evidence or whatever happened during walkthrough, when they were in the hole and they were doing an interview with a tour guide and their audio quit. First Aaron's quit, then Zach's, then the tour guide. The only people who had audio was Nick. And then he got a surge of, like, electricity, and you heard this, like, really loud shriek, and his audio went out, and they had zero audio. They were, like, doing, like, closed captioning on the bottom of the screen. Are you still rolling? This has never happened before. And it was completely silent. They had zero audio coming from their cameras or their mics. And that was before lockdown even started. So I knew that it was going to be cray cray cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. And it was, without a doubt, cray cray cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. They get a lot of noises and bangs. They get tons of EVPs. Most of the EVPs are warnings, like run, get out, and then the ones that weren't were like threats. It was absolutely like, they got an EVP in Lockhart's cell that says, I'll chew you. What the crap? Nobody better be chewing on me. Unless it's, you know, like in a lovingly sort of way. I mean, I don't know anybody who doesn't like to be nibbled on. But that's beside the point. If you're gonna chew on me, like in an evil way, oh hell no. Hell to the no. You are not gonna chew on. Who chews on people? Except maybe like Hannibal Lecter. Cray cray cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Look, I know your life was hard. I mean, you are an inmate. You are in prison. You done killed yourself with paint thinner and burnt yourself alive. There is no reason that you need to be talking about chewing on me. I'm done. I can't even deal. So then they bring in, toward the end of lockdown, it kind of gets really nuts, because they bring in Sarah, who works for the prison. She's like a tour guide. And they use her basically as bait. So for once it wasn't Aaron, and she even says it. Like, she's all down to do whatever, but she's like, shouldn't Aaron be doing this? Because typically it's Aaron. And that kind of made like Zach and Nick giggle, because typically they would be sending Aaron. But they send Sarah because she's familiar with the prison, she's used to being there, and she's used to dealing with the spirits there. And they did not disappoint. They pulled her hair, they breathed on the back of her neck, they had EVPs that said like, run Sarah run, and that we're sorry. It was just absolutely nuts. This prison is without a doubt insanely freaking haunted. I mean, they caught things on like the word database goggles. They caught noises on their static night vision cameras that when no one was there, they caught a mist figure walk behind Zach, like from one cell to the other, and you could actually like see his shoulder and the shadow. It was just one of those lockdowns that was so intense, like I can't break it down enough, because there's just too much happened. You just kind of have to sum it up into, it's insanely freaking haunted. But it's a really great episode. I think what makes it really great is the way that it seems to affect people outside of the prison. With like the case of DJ Fly, something is not right there. and I've seen that in Aftershocks. I've seen that in the episode where he has some sort of an attachment. I think that he is closer to Lockhart than he's letting people lead on. I think that he suffers from a lot of maybe even PTSD or anxiety from being out of prison, which is not uncommon for inmates getting out because they're used to a regimented, strict, predictable way of life, even though unpredictability happens within the prison walls. They know that's going to happen. That's a predictable thing to them. They're like, well, it's prison. Somebody's going to steal somebody's sticky bun, and then all hell's going to break loose. And so now being out in the real world, I think he lives with the fact that maybe Lockhart could have had that too, had he been a little bit stronger, had he been a little bit more willing to ask for help or, confide in somebody. I mean, yes, the prison system was different back then, but that doesn't mean that people can't turn to each other within themselves and deal with issues. And so I think he lives with a little bit of guilt, and he lives with a lot of attachment to the prison and to the people and the spirits within the prison. And it's kind of sad to see, but it makes for a really good show. And Ohio State Reformatory was just off the chain. Like, I've never seen Zach and the guys so pumped up for a lockdown. Zach was just fueled when he walked into this place, and it was just an amazing thing to see because he knew, just based on the walkthrough, how insane it was going to get. And so, bravo, Ohio State Reformatory. Great episode, hands down. Great location, great history, and yes, it's insanely freaking haunted. So that is all I have for GA Flashback Friday. I will be back on Tuesday for GAQA Tuesday, where I answer all of your Ghost Adventures related questions, to which I've already got a really good list started, and I am really excited for that video because there has been some things that's popped up on the page that I'm going to discuss along with the questions that you guys have already asked me. So until then, stay happy, stay healthy, have a great and wonderful 4th of July weekend with your family. I know that I am going to the park in town, and we are going to eat funnel cakes and have a few cocktails and hang out with friends and let the kids play and watch an amazing fireworks display. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Much love and happiness.